Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of 5 Lug Racing. My name is Don, my partner in crime, Ryan. We are here breaking down everything Brickyard 400. Cannot wait to get into this episode. We've got a ton of great stuff we're going to talk about. Right off the jump, I want to thank all of our fans and followers, everybody that makes it possible to do what we're doing right now. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts here at 5 Lug Racing. Without you guys, we can't be here talking about it, so thank you again. Make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what to do. This isn't nothing new. But yeah, hey, we got a sponsor to talk about, but instead of me talking about it, I'm going to let him do it. Kevin, welcome back, bud.
Good to everybody.
See you. Hey, thanks, Kevin.
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. Fresh back from Indy.
Yeah, man. We can't wait to hear about it, man. So, we're at the point where we need to talk about the Diecast of the week first. So, figure we let you talk about that.
All right. Well, Bubba, back in winner's circle. Look at that. I'm excited for him. Earned it. I mean, he flat out earned it. So we're going to do a winner's choice this week.
Nice.
I got 3 Bubbas. I got 1 in the 43 Worldwide Technologies. Richard Petty car, autographed. We got the number 45 Kansas win from 2022. The red, white, and blue route sponsored.
Nice.
That one is not auto. That is just a race win. And then the third choice is when he ran a truck for Pristine Auctions, the number 1 truck. That one is autographed. So you winner gets to choose whichever one they want. Highest bid takes it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's absolutely incredible. And we're going to go ahead and leave the link to those auctions down here in our description for you guys to go check out on KK's Diecast community there on Facebook. Kevin is in the house with us talking about it today. Absolutely love it. Ryan, it's so good to see you, bud. I can't wait to break down this episode with you. How you doing, bud?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. And before we get too far into it, I do want to take a brief moment. As we all know in the racing community, Stuart Friesen was in a pretty bad accident up in Canada running a big block modified. And it was just a horrific crash. He did have to get aided out of the car, was transported to the hospital. Got fractures in his pelvis, a fractured leg, had surgery today. Stuart, you're in our thoughts. Our prayers are with you. It's just speedy recovery. You get back to the racetrack when you can, but, handle business first, and we'll let everything else sort itself out. But just so glad that he's still with us, as awful as that wreck was. It's just, man, brutal stuff.
Yeah.
Hate to start a show off that way, but we gotta lift him up. So,
absolutely.
But and that he is part owner of his truck team too. So be quite curious to see who they end up putting in that truck to run out the rest of the season. His wife Jess has run many truck races before. Maybe she's a quick candidate to hop in there soon. The trucks are off this week, so it's not like they had to make a rash decision. But we'll have to know soon. So what they're planning on doing. But
as cool as a story as that would be with Jess jumping in the truck, I'm pretty sure her schedule is going to be pretty busy the next couple months, helping Stuart get back on his feet again.
Yeah,
so
right.
You said it beautifully, Ryan. We hate seeing stuff like this. It's a part of the business. Accidents do happen. For everybody that did see the clip that was posted all over social media, it was a horrendous wreck. But Ryan, you absolutely nailed it. We wish nothing but the best for the Friesen family and everything going on with Stuart. But Kevin, my man, you were at Indy, bud. Let's talk about it a little bit. How was your experience? What was the atmosphere like, man?
Before we get to that, I want to say, the Stuart wreck, I grew up at the dirt tracks. That is one of the gnarliest looking wrecks I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And to be totally helpless, ricocheting and coming back in the racing surface is like one of the worst things.
Right.
So just very thankful that he only sustain the injuries he did. So,
right.
Yeah, prayers to that family, and I hope he has a quick recovery because he's super guy.
Absolutely.
Very, very well said, Kevin.
Talking about Indy. So Indy was a fun trip. Man, it was hot though. I mean, it was so hot. I mean, out on pit road, I mean, it was radiating off the surface, But we had a good time. The SS Greenlight had the 07 had my buddy Logan in the car this week again. So you guys know him.
Logan Bearden, great guy.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I hated it for him. Did not get the results they wanted. Going to take the green, he radioed and said, "Guys, I don't know. The gauges just went. Lost all power in the car.
Flatlined.
So he literally coasted in. Just basically was just firing it up just to bump it and get it into the pit stall. They thought they changed batteries. Thought maybe that was it. Turns out they had to push back in the garage. Ended up being the alternator. So, unfortunately, ended up 55 laps down. But other than that, the whole racing on Saturday was amazing. It was fun to watch. That track is just iconic, all around, and you almost, when you walk across, because you guys haven't been there, but the bricks run not just across the finish line. They run through pit road all the way up, and it is really cool and just kind of gives you goosebumps when you walk across it,
Right.
So the atmosphere was electric. Everybody was hot, but everybody seemed to be in good spirits, and got to talk to a few drivers, had a good time, got a few autographs.
Hell yeah.
So it was a overall good experience, very much so. Did come back on Sunday, so came back and watched the race from the comfort of my couch on Sunday. So
with air conditioning.
With air conditioning, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's so great that you had such a good experience. Now, we need to talk about a couple things that happened Saturday. The first thing we're going to talk about is Connor Zilisch, because oh my goodness, this kid is just driving as like a man possessed right now. So he's won 3 races in a row, 4 wins in the last 9 races, and hasn't finished worse than 5th in this entire stretch since his return from injury, mind you. Okay, so this is since his comeback race. We all know he sustained a little bit of lower back injury at a wreck in Talladega. He missed a week. Then they had a week off, and then they come back for Charlotte. William Byron wins the Xfinity race at Charlotte, but P2 is Connor Zilisch. And he's finished P2 more than he hasn't, and plus P1 since this return. I have not seen a sustained run like this in either series in a very, very long time. This is just flat out dominant stuff.
Yep.
So whatever those back doctors did, they got him tuned up behind that wheel, man, because he's just they're just fired. And when he was out and missed a race, his car won. So the team as a whole under the umbrella is just on fire right now. And guys, this is his rookie season. He has not run a complete season yet in the Xfinity Series. So, just absolute unprecedented tear. He just celebrated his 19th birthday, and he is the real deal. And I think we can take any questions that we had about his ability to contend for a championship, maybe around that Pocono race where I admittedly asked him in, the press center post race, do you see yourself as a legitimate championship contender now, getting that second win and a win on a oval? It's a, tri-oval, but whatever, it still counted. And, he said his response was, I never saw myself as not a championship contender. I just saw it as taking time. Well, the time's taken. he's kicking butt now.
Yeah.
And, Junior Motorsports, congratulations, 100 wins for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Motorsports. That's a remarkable thing as a team owner, and just, wow, just something special. Now, yes, Connor's last 2 wins were a little bit shortened because of rain, whatever you want to call it, rain playing a factor. But I'll tell you what, the car was bad fast. And at Dover, he had a huge lead and nobody was touching him. And, the way it all played out at Indy, he had a hot rod. He had to fight to get back to the lead. He earned every bit of those wins. So anybody who wants to say asterisks with rain, I don't get out of here with that. He played it right on the track and just went and won those things. So now on the flip side of the coin, there's something, guys, we need to collectively talk about, and that's Austin Hill. Austin Hill, as we know now, recording here tonight, that Austin Hill will be serving a 1-race suspension for his actions later in the race with Eric Almirola. The two get together, right? It's go time, into the race. Eric Almirola kind of moves in what we would call a racing move, moves the 21 a little bit, but not in a sense that had any malintention to ruin the 21's day. It was just, hey, I'm faster than you right now. You got to get out of my way. It's go time. I'm going to the front. And Austin Hill's car gets a little bit upset. He doesn't like that. He recovers, and you could clearly see, absolutely, his hands take a hard left, and the SMT data supports it, and he just right rears the 19 car and sends him right up into the wall. Horrific wreck. So thankful that, the men and women, that work in these shops build safe race cars. And Eric Almirola was able to walk away with that, because that's a hard hit. Like, absolutely hard hit, as fast as you're going.
It's unnecessary. Like, that's the thing that's so frustrating.
Yes.
There's no room for it, y'all. Like,
you could have waited till the next turn and done the same thing back to him. You didn't have to do that.
Right. Absolutely.
He didn't knock you out of the way where you weren't still in contention to get your back at him. You didn't have to right rear him.
And going into a 90-degree turn, like,
yeah,
this is getting ridiculous. Now we're
Go ahead, say it.
It's getting old, and I'm trying to pick my words wisely. What's really frustrating is it's coming out of the same team that the last time we had this discussion about it at Richmond last year with another Austin and Austin Dillon on the Cup side of things. NASCAR gave the penalty. They even though it wasn't a huge fine penalty, they still lost out on about $3 million worth of playoff money just for what Austin Dillon did to. I don't think he got penalized for Joey Logano. I think he got penalized mainly for the Denny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we're almost exactly a year removed from that incident, and now you have another RCR driver doing the exact same thing at 180 miles an hour at a super speedway like this. What penalty is it going to take for these drivers to learn? So NASCAR, 1 race suspension worked for Bubba and Chase Elliott when they did their right hooks, but it's not working on this side of it. So I don't know if we need to up this thing to 2-3 races. I don't need if the fines need to be doubled up to 100. I don't know, but they're not getting the message over there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fine line, in my opinion, too, on hitting somebody in the right rear and purposely hitting somebody in the right rear, because we need to talk about that at the end of the Cup race. Right. Since we're on the right rear topic, we'll talk about it real quick now. Towards the end of that race, in one of those overtimes, the first overtime, Christopher Bell gets into the right rear of the 38 car. And I honestly think that there was no malintent there. He right reared him, yes, but it was like just absolutely poor judgment on Bell's part which is something you don't see as frequent, on his line on the track, and then ends up into the right rear of Zane Smith.
That was a crossover gone wrong.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that's why we talk about it, because you have to look at both of those, right? And NASCAR certainly did. NASCAR will look at SMT data too, but there's video evidence. I mean, we posted it on our page, and in our graphic today when we announced the penalty, you can see the hand. Like,
aren't his gloves white?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he did it.
Yeah,
it's like it might as well just be a spotlight on him,
I know.
Yep.
And the other thing is a history. Austin Hill.
Right.
I mean, we were just talking about Dillon. There was a history there. I mean, but Austin Hill in the Xfinity Series has had a history of driving like this as well. Aggressive driving is just not okay, in my opinion. And you're right, Don. Maybe we do need to look at this, and NASCAR can come out with a black and white rule, right, and say it's a 2-race minimum penalty, and
double the fines. It's not enough.
And maybe playoff points. You've got to hit these teams where it hurts, and they did with the 3-car at Richmond last year. Right. They absolutely did. He was not playoff eligible.
But the lesson wasn't learned in their own darn garage. That's what frustrates me so much. It's not even like it's a team that has nothing. It's the same garage and the same exact situation.
The only way you're going to get them to really pay attention is if you make it so they don't get a playoff waiver. Take their playoff away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, say, okay, you missed these 2 races. You get no waiver. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're in the playoffs.
You think drivers are going to start taking notice before they start rearing people into the wall at 180 miles an hour?
That's the only way it's really going to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just put somebody else in the car and they're going to get the points for it. So.
Right.
Yeah. And just the reason why we all share such a passionate, path on this subject is because these are people that we know in this sport. And but even the fans at home, they watch and they admire these people, but these people have families to go home to.
Right.
And, you wreck somebody at 180 miles an hour, it's not safe. It's not safe to get in a wreck, period. But if you intentionally do it, come on, it's not okay. We got to stop. We got to end. We got to, settle it some other way, throw the gloves down after the race. I don't care,
Absolutely.
It's just, come on. You can't just be silly and use your car as a weapon. It's not okay. And that's really all I can say about that. I mean, that's just what it is. You're using your car as a weapon, and
somebody's going to end up getting killed. And then what? Then what happens when somebody gets killed?
Yeah.
I mean,
it can't get to that point. It cannot.
No, that's exactly. I was going to say, all I can say is NASCAR can't let it get to that point. And, if you use your street car as a weapon, you go to jail for that. So, NASCAR needs to take this a little bit more seriously. Yes, it's a sport. Yes, it's for entertainment, but that's not entertaining to see somebody potentially get hurt. So, that's all I can have to say about that.
We can only beat the horse as dead as possible. Austin Hill deserves the penalty that's coming his way. Hopefully NASCAR hopefully something starts ramping up before somebody actually gets very seriously hurt, which nobody wants to see. Hey, tell us, we had a crown jewel on Sunday, Brickyard 400. Ryan, what'd you think? Kevin, what'd you think? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and gladly we'll talk about it. So let's talk about Saturday first, real quick, in the Cup side of things. Okay. We saw something happen in qualifying that had quite a remarkable outcome to this race in a sense, because we had seen Bubba Wallace go out and put down a blistering fast lap in qualifying, only to be bested by another Toyota of Chase Briscoe, who Chase Briscoe ends up winning the pole. But the reason why he won the pole is because Denny might have got over aggressive. Well, no, he did get over aggressive on his qualifying run. He even said so himself. Denny was 0.2 to the good over Briscoe. Bad, fast, progressive 11 Toyota. bad fast, carrying some momentum from, winning at Dover, and was about to dethrone his teammate for the pole position in the Brickyard 400, and instead loses control of the vehicle. That car was toast. He hit the wall very, very hard. There was no way they were salvaging any of that. So they did go to a backup car. And Denny starts rear of the field and salvages just a championship drive. I will say, for the race as a whole, yes, there was passing on the track. So don't say that there wasn't. But Denny seemed to pass more cars than anybody else did on the track. He had a fast hot rod. That backup car ends up finishing P3. Incredible day for Hamlin. That's the type of championship stuff, that the team's hosting a championship trophy at the end of the year. Those are the types of runs that they're able to go do. Have a bad day in practice and qualifying and rebound and finish third. That's like a win in their book. And especially because Denny ends up getting to kiss bricks because he was a team owner of the team that won the race. Wow. I will have to say, and I'm just going to go on record saying this, and I don't care. My eyes were sweating a little bit. I've been a guy that has supported Bubba Wallace's career through the highs and the lows. And, Bubba has a misconception with some of the fan base out there. Let's call it what it is. I'm not saying all the fan base. There's some of the fan base that there are some definite misconceptions and disconnect with Bubba Wallace. And I will tell you this, from my own personal experiences, Bubba's an incredible dude. He's really fun to be around. And man, did he earn that win. Kevin, you said it in the beginning when you talked about the Diecast of the week. Did not make it easy on him. First of all, I want to talk about towards the end of this race. So let's rewind the tape and we'll get back to talking about Bubba. So strategy plays into a track like Pocono and Indy, none other than, we see on these huge tracks, more of a flat surface. And, you saw how, they play, how much fuel do we need game? Because if you could take a little bit less fuel in 2 tires and get out in front of some of these people, you jump them on the cycle. Or if you came in and got 4 tires, you're stopped before, and you could come in and get 2 tires, there's going to be some time there to leapfrog. Well, we saw the Penske cars start to do this first. They went on their own little strategy. The 3 of the 4 Penske cars did this. So Logano looked good. He was out there, looked like they might have played strategy really well. It was going to tighten up because they were close. Cindric, is the first to have the issue, though. Cindric plays the strategy really well. Early in the race, late in the race, it looks like Austin Cindric might win his second crown jewel event. We know he's a Daytona 500 champion. Austin Cindric had great position to do so. Right rear tire goes flat. That ruins his day. Joey Logano then inherits that strategy and has the same thing happen to him. Now, I will tell you, Bubba Wallace was mowing down Joey Logano something fierce, like a tenth to 2/10 a lap, well before that tire came apart on Logano. So then Bubba Wallace, in the 2311 cars were the next 2. The first 2, I should say 2 of the 3 2311 cars played this similar strategy where they had the 4 tire stop, came in for the 2 tire stop, needed a little less fuel than those other guys, and put it out there. Bubba Wallace had a hot rod, though, the entire weekend. Undoubtedly, a top 10 car in pace all weekend. It just him at top 5. Yeah, you absolutely top 5 pace all weekend. The 45 was the other top 10 pace. Reddick didn't have the finish he wanted, but that's because of how those restarts played out. But so Logano has his issue. Joey Logano ends up in the pits. NASCAR, I'm going to applaud you, NASCAR. We always are quick to jump on NASCAR for throwing cautions unnecessarily. They let these guys figure it out on the track. There wasn't debris on the track. Get these cars into pit road. Boom. That, they didn't stop the race. They let it go. And then, here we are, Bubba Wallace, 4-second lead over second place. And seemingly Kyle Larson's not catching him. And then the rain happens. And my goodness, it's like,
Let's paint that picture real quick. Bubba takes over Joey Logano at about 22, 25 laps to go in the race, in the final stage, right? This is Bubba Wallace's race to lose now.
Yeah, and Joey's flat was, he had just pitted. So it was, they didn't, it was low tire pressure is what basically caused his, it seems like.
That's exactly what, yeah, absolutely. So he just couldn't get the tire temperature up, ended up pushing himself too hard, taking himself out of contention, insert Bubba Wallace. Absolutely. And then go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
The rain hits. And the rain hits one area of this track, but it's in the turns, and it's not safe to run slick tires at 180 miles an hour into these corners, and the short shoots there, because, you're basically making, 90-degree left turns, a little bit of a sweep to it, but and then, the fans down in, was it 3 and 4 are still trying to figure out today even why they threw that caution, because it didn't rain at all down there. But, that's just how it is with a track that huge. I've seen similar things in my years of going to Pocono. It may rain right in this one area, and that's it. And the good side of that is it doesn't take that long to dry the track. And that's exactly what NASCAR had to throw the caution. They bring the cars down pit road, and here we go thinking, well, we've seen races play out. I think back to Homestead and how that played out for Bubba Wallace. Seemingly was in the catbird seat there, and it didn't work out. And here we go, Larson getting a chance to tighten things back up on a restart, and your top four was 2 Toyotas, 2 Chevys. The 2 Chevys are teammates. The 2 Toyotas are quasi teammates, with Denny Hamlin owning the 2311 car with Michael Jordan. And it's just like, oh man, how's this going to play out? They purposely don't line up behind their teammate. So, if they realize if Denny gets behind Bubba, that push on the bottom is likely going to prevail. And then so we also have to play into the factor, do these guys have enough fuel to get to the finish, right? We run extra overtime, how much do they have in the tank? And Larson came in after Bubba. So we knew Larson was maybe good by 1 to 2 laps over Bubba. Byron couldn't say the same thing. And Denny had the best fuel situation out of the 4 of them. But it was just, what a nail biter, because, we go into what ends up being the first NASCAR overtime. NASCAR will make unlimited attempts at a green, white checker finish, as long as the driver in the lead does not cross the white flag before the caution. So here we go. Rain unfortunately put us here. Do these guys have enough? And everybody had said, we know we are good for one of these things. So re-rack them. Here we go. Well, so restart, Kyle Larson neck and neck. Bubba does edge him out, and then immediately after is a caution for what we mentioned earlier in the show. Christopher Bell just totally misjudges his run on the 38 car, sends the 38 packing, and we have to re-rack them. And now it's like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? Don, you and I were texting. We're having flashbacks of last year where Brad Keselowski's in the lead and has to pull off as they're coming to take the green flag. And I'm just like, please tell me that he's not going to lose this way, right? It's like, because I could only hear it now for that section of the fans that I mentioned earlier, that has that disconnect and how they would have been ripping. But instead they cried different ways. And I'll say it like that because they did. They're immature. All right. They're immature. Let's just call it for what it is. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Absolutely. And it's getting old. And some of it's downright disgusting. Without going into all the comments in the comment section, it's just like, come on, let's grow up here. Let's be adults. Let's talk about it. Yeah. And, let's show some respect where it's due. But at the same time, masterclass in fuel saving by Bubba Wallace. So let's rewind, 4-second lead. He was backing it up a little bit, his entries, and allowing himself to save a little bit for that just in case moment, because he knew he had Larson covered. If it stayed green, no worries. Bubba Wallace is your Brickyard 400 winner. We have, rain, so caution re-rack. Then we have that Bell accident with Zane Smith. They have to do it again. And this time we don't know if they have the fuel. But Bubba was able to save enough, had an excellent restart, a better restart than I would say the first time, because Larson couldn't even hang with him the second time. And I think maybe and
I don't know what they were worried about. Did you see that burnout? He had plenty of fuel.
I'll tell you what. It down. That burnout might be the burnout of the year, my friend. And I thought
he just kept going. I think he was just I'm going to keep going until it actually runs out of gas.
And he never ran out because he drove he drove it onto the hoist to get into victory lane. And I just I mean, just like Briscoe had to save at Pocono, these Toyotas are making fuel when they go to save. But part of that is the driver and how they're going to drive the track. But in multiple facets, Bubba Wallace had to earn this win. For all the flack that he got for his first career win at Talladega, which, by the way, he drove his butt off to get to the lead at Talladega, to position himself to be in the lead there.
They blame it on the rain.
And then they blame it on the rain. And, it's like, come on, okay, fine. You don't want to give him his credit. Well, in one of those diecast of the weeks that you have there, that Route 45 car, he drove that one to a checkered flag, fair and square, and he did it again this week. So, congratulations to Bubba Wallace. Like I said, my eyes got a little misty. Not just because of I felt like the relief that he felt like, but also as a dad, getting to see him celebrate with Bex, his son, and then his wife, and just how cool. Yeah, the Simba. I'm calling it the Simba moment. Yeah, it was totally the Simba moment at the Brickyard. I don't care. It was so cool. Just all the. It was just one of the most memorable victory lanes I've seen this year, and it was really, really cool. But also on the cool down lap, for the flack that this guy gets from the fan base in some facets, the garage respects the heck out of this guy. That was one of the coolest cool down laps I've seen in the longest time.
Everybody loved on him, just loved on him. Yeah. So
it was beautiful. It was really, really cool to see. And not for nothing, because I don't like necessarily to play on, the race thing, and I say that because, the headlines of first black driver to win a crown jewel event in NASCAR, and that's part of my French, badass. He earned that. And, but the fact that headline was on CNN, when's the last time you saw NASCAR on CNN, fellas?
My guess would be when either Dale passed away or Dale Jr. won after he passed away.
But so I mean, the importance of what that guy does for the sport, he's a lightning rod, whether you like him or hate him. He's a lightning rod for NASCAR and important to this sport. And I just think all around was beautiful. I love the attention it got. Man, just really, really cool how it all played back. And now we're moving on to Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely. We got another short track on the horizon. Again, congratulations to Bubba Wallace, the 23-11-23 team. I know that weight has been on their shoulders forever.
All of it.
I hated that Michael wasn't there.
Yeah, yes. It was a bummer that Mike wasn't there, but something tells me now that this weight is lifted off of Bubba's shoulders and that team as a whole, we're probably going to see a little bit more of this, and I don't think Michael's going to miss much of it. So no matter what, it is all good things there for 23-11. We know all the outside noise that goes on with that team, but you know what? On the track, they're getting it done. They still got Tyler Reddick in the playoffs as of today, and we'll get to the playoff standings here in a little bit. But Iowa, let's talk about it. We're going short track racing, fellas.
Whew. Iowa. So, we've seen this place with this car one time, and it really was a dominant performance. So normally I bring you all the stats, the averages. Well, here's your stats and averages. Ryan Blaney, 57.4% of the laps led, obviously wins the race. And then, there were some strong performances, but, aside from Blaney finishing first, Logano had a sixth place car. And then, you could look at the other common denominator is HMS and Joe Gibbs Racing. With Ricky Stenhouse as an outlier in there. Ricky Stenhouse had a really good race here last year, finished fifth. It was, as far as laps led go, Christopher Bell led a small amount. Josh Berry led nearly 10% of this race, finished seventh. Daniel Suarez led a little bit, Brad Keselowski, but again, last year was an absolute dominant performance by the 12 team. I know this is a quasi home field advantage for him, with, his racing history and his family. But I stats wise don't have much else for you, but we're going to go into the NASCAR odds for the weekend. And tied at the top is Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson at plus 450, Ryan Blaney plus 500, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Logano. We got Reddick, Briscoe, Barry, Busher, Chastain, Hocevar, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Ty Gibbs all getting a little love. Last week's race winner and Alex Bowman down there as well. Guys, this is a short track, and one of the things that we need to look at is short tracks, how they look this year. How's this style of short track compared to maybe some others? I look at I know the surface is different, but Nashville, a little Nashville-esque, so to speak, not concrete, of course. We can play into that, maybe a little Richmond, and we can go off of Richmond. Now, again, we look at short tracks, and I have to tell you, it is Joe Gibbs Racing and HMS, and then there's also Ryan Blaney in the mix there with a little bit of Ross Chastain. I am very curious on how this race actually plays out. If we don't have a dominant car like we did last year, then what do we see? Do we see a mix of JGR and HMS dicing it up front and then maybe sprinkling a few oddballs? I'm curious where your guys' thoughts are on that. And then we can roll into our dark horse and our, as our spotlight pick'em is coming up, our dark horse and our favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, you want to take it over from there, bud? What do you think about Iowa this week?
I mean, given that we don't really have much history there, it's kind of, I feel like it's going to be a toss-up. Blaney's going to run good, and you've got your short track guys. You got your Larson loves short tracks. Bell's going to be up there, and you're right. Chastain, he's been pretty good at short tracks, so I think he'll be a factor. He's kind of had a few hard weeks, so
he has.
He's looking to rebound, and as far as it's going to be your teams. It's going to be your JGRs. It's going to be your HMSs. Briscoe, I think, will be in the mix. He's been running really good lately. He's been showing he's finally getting gelling with that team, and really getting to show his talent. So I think he'll be in the mix. Denny will be up there. Denny loves the short tracks. So he's looking to keep his streak going of top fives. So I think it's going to be your quintessential people.
All right. Well, with that, why don't we start off that pick'em spotlight then, Kevin, and let's go with your dark horse, and then you can give us your favorite.
Well, my dark horse is going to be someone who does love short tracks, and that's Mr. Ryan Preece. So he is a short track racer, true and true. So he's one I think is just waiting to break out and get a win. So I'm hoping he can do that soon because he's a super nice guy and he's really, I think he's showing something this year. So, and he's also fighting for his life to keep a ride. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not only that, but he's also fighting for his life to get into the playoffs because he's right below the bubble.
Yeah.
And the bubble is his teammate, Chris Buescher. So, that win with Bubba Wallace really kind of mixed up the cut line. Priest is 42 below the cut, but I do love that pick, and Priest has shown speed on these short tracks this year. So definitely love that. Now, I'm curious, and as our guest, we'll let you go first. Who is your favorite for the weekend?
Last year's winner, Ryan Blaney. I can't say no. His family history at this track. Blaney's looking to break out and win this again. I think he's going to win it back to back, straight up.
All right. Well, can't disagree with either of those two options with you. I am going to be different, and regardless of whether I heard your options or not, I have two that I really, really like this week as well. And my dark horse is somebody who, when I look at some of these short track races and the speed that they've shown on similar sized tracks this year, and he finished really well here as a rookie last year. My dark horse is Carson Hocevar. How you talk about Ryan Priest being somebody who's on that breakout for a first win. I also think Hocevar is on the cusp. I think Spire Motorsports is definitely a competitive team. They're more competitive than they've ever been. And I believe that Hocevar is on the right side of the coin as far as Spire Motorsports. When they get their next win, I think it's going to be Carson Hocevar. So I want to be on the right side of the pick as well and go with him as my dark horse this week.
I love it. Ryan, real quick, before we get to your favorite, is Carson the number one at Spire Motorsports as of about 3/4 of the way through the season?
In my opinion, yes. I mean, in my opinion, he absolutely has taken the reins as the young gun there. Okay. They have a savvy vet with Michael McDowell. No disrespect to McDowell, who's a winner in this sport, right. But I believe if they're going to put their eggs in a basket, they're going to maybe put one or two extra in that 77 basket because the tenacity that this kid's shown, and you got to think. I mean. The maturity between the years, once that finally starts to fully click too, I really think that some of the things stopping Carson Hocevar right now is Carson Hocevar. So when he can stop beating himself, and find a way to finish these races and contend for wins more consistently, then they'll start to rattle him off. And so, yeah, I do think that he is kind of in that catbird seat right now.
Absolutely love it, because that's something that's been on my mind as far as Spire Motorsports goes, and the fact that you pick Carson over some of the other options that are available. That question was screaming at me. I had to get your opinion on it, bud.
Yeah, and I mean, if this was Daytona, I'd maybe consider Justin Haley as a dark horse, but we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But right now, I'm all in on the Carson Hocevar train. And then as far as my favorite is concerned, it wouldn't surprise anybody if the man goes to victory lane this weekend. He's already got 3 wins on the season. And, I definitely think that this is the type of place that he can kind of right the ship a little bit. And I'm talking about Christopher Bell and the 20 team at JGR. Christopher Bell is a driver that when he gets in that momentum, he can stay there in a while. But when he gets in that slump, he also can stay there for a while. And we've kind of seen just a mid Christopher Bell lately. And, where he started the season, hot right out of the gate. And I mean, like, real hot. I mean, he had a shot to win Daytona. He wins Atlanta. He dominates Phoenix. He gets 3 wins, like boom, boom, boom. And, it was like, well, can he get 4? Like, when's the 4th and the 5th? And it just seemed like it was Christopher Bell versus the world. And yeah, and it's been that since, Kevin. And it's kind of a head scratcher. And, I saw a little bit of this last year. Same thing with them. And now last year, Adam Stevens, if you guys remember, he had a freak accident on an off week and hurt his knee, and
Right.
and things kind of just dipped a little bit for a little bit with them when that happened. And it may not have had anything to do with that, but it was a change in their routine.
Right.
This year, we've seen some changes. He wins an all-star race and loses a spotter the week after. It's just been weird. But I think this is a get it right type of track. The short track program for JGR is pristine. It is arguably you do put them and HMS in tier 1 here. When it comes to short track racing, they're going to have fast cars. And I think that the 20 car is absolutely going to be up for, the challenge. As long as Christopher Bell doesn't hurt himself, I think he could see himself with a very strong run this weekend and kind of get himself going on. But it would not at all surprise me if he takes a trip to victory lane.
Absolutely love those picks. Can't argue it for even a second. There's just nothing against what you said at all. Kevin, same with you, bud. Absolutely just love the picks. I have to go as far as my dark horse. I'm going to go from the same camp as Kevin here. I'm going to stick with the RFK guys. I still think that they're right there as a way to get over the hump, right? And we're talking about Brad, Chris, and Ryan. All three of them so close, and just every week it seems to be something that stops them from getting over that hump. I'm going to go ahead and roll with the 17 and Christopher Buescher. He has found himself in such a predicament as far as points go that not only if he makes the playoffs, he's starting behind the 8 ball. We're talking about -4 points. And for those who don't remember, earlier in the season, he took on a penalty, which they took away playoff points. So if he were to make the playoff points, he's starting behind the 8 ball anyway. So he's got ground to make up before he even makes the playoffs, and he hasn't even made it yet. So
right.
He was really strong here last year. I think that RFK puts out some really good Fords this weekend, and Christopher Buescher finds himself at the front of this pack by the time it's all said and done. This playoff picture is getting crazy. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, you're absolutely right. The RFK guys, we got to mention the team owner real quick. Brad Keselowski finished 10th here last year. So He too had a solid piece here last year. I absolutely think you guys could be on to something with the RFK Fords this weekend. And if any one of those wins, oh man, does that jumble up the playoff picture a little bit.
Absolutely. The only way the playoff picture kind of stays okay is if Chris wins, because of the gap that Ryan Preece still has to make up. He's still back 42 points on that cut line. Yes, that can be made up in a race, but it's not likely. So he's gonna need all 4 of these next races to chip away at that, and he's gonna need a lot of luck. And it's borderline a must-win situation for the Preece. Chris Buescher finds himself in the playoffs right now. A win would only shake it up a little bit, as far as he would flip-flop with Reddick and Bowman, push those two down to 15-16. Reddick has 138-point cushion to the good right now. So Reddick's getting to that where if Reddick doesn't win, he's got to worry about 2 new winners coming and messing up his thing. A third one would knock him out completely. So
I think for Reddick's sake, he needs to get past Iowa and Watkins Glen clean. Right. 2 strong finishes, if not a win himself.
Right.
And I think he should be safe. Okay. But if he can get to Richmond with plus 138, just as he is now, he's golden. I don't see a math equation knocking him out. Right. We need no new winners too for him. He's got to worry. That's his biggest worry, is somebody that doesn't have a win winning.
And ironically, his own teammate in Bubba Wallace did the exact thing to him, this past weekend. And Tyler running up to Bubba and giving him a giant hug down there by the race car when Bubba got out of the race car was so cool to see. You can really tell how much that team really cares about each other as a whole. It's not about individual stats here, y'all. It really is about the team moving forward together, and they are a prime example of it. I love to see it.
Yeah, all of Airspeed was at Bubba Wallace's house Sunday night, which is beautiful to see. That plane landed. They went to Bubba's and they partied it up for a little bit. And some of them didn't stay too long, but they stayed long enough to take that big photo and just have some fun and appreciate one another. And, because it takes a village. And, They recognize that, and you got to love that. That's really cool to see. But I'm sorry, we're keeping you from your favorite for the week. Lay it on us, Don.
Yeah, I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't beat around the bush, and I'm going to go with another dark horse Ford, pun intended, as my favorite. But it's going to be the 12 car of Ryan Blaney in Penske Motorsports. He's given us a reason to pick him. He hasn't given us a reason to pick against him from everything we saw last season. Penske is really, really great at this style of racing anyway. Give me the 12 car and Ryan Blaney. There's no reason for me to pick against him. If somebody gave me $100 bill, said pick a race car winner, I'm picking the 12 car.
Let's be honest. This is that point in the season where that 12 car seems to turn the dial. So
right, absolutely.
Well,
great point.
I'll tell you what though. If you look at their season as a whole, they need to turn the dial.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a win, but they have not had a good season. In their standard, at
as
least.
As far as Penske goes as a whole, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, all four of those cars, I apologize, have found victory lane, but it's just, which is remarkable because all four cars that are whether it's a Penske affiliate or the main three out of the shop are all going to be in the playoffs. But at the same time, what have they done as a whole, the whole body of work? You're absolutely right. If they don't turn it around soon, and they start to catch that heat in the playoffs, then you're going to start hearing people whine about, here comes the Penske guys in the playoffs again. But, hey, the system's the system. And,
to anybody that has that kind of outlook on the system, if it favors Penske, why is it so hard for everybody else to catch up? Like I got nothing against the Penske group. I don't have any drivers in that camp that I necessarily root for, but I can admit when they're doing it better the last 10 weeks than everybody else, and it's clear as day. So everybody else needs to catch up because this is the system we got.
Right. And I read something today, and getting some insider information, and we'll touch more on this as the story develops, but NASCAR wants to make some changes to the playoff format, but has been told by all the major media, and I'm talking about the TV channels that broadcast these playoff races, that they do not want to change the playoff format. They want to get what they've paid for with their TV contracts. So, minor changes may happen, but big changes may not. Almighty dollar, sure. But I think that the playoffs matter, and as we get closer, I think the playoffs do bring a level of excitement. I do think that, that old Winston Cup format that everybody says I wish we'd go back to, nobody wants to see a champion crowned 5 weeks to go in the season, so there has to be a happy medium, and there's definitely some tweaks we can change to this point system. I think you can change the point system a little bit, but as far as a playoff system of some sort, you have to have it. I do believe traveling locations is going to be key too, because locking in on Phoenix is.
And they've already made the Phoenix adjustment, right? They've already announced they're making steps to make it better. Thank goodness, because the Phoenix thing was getting silly. It was not producing.
Homestead.
Yeah, Homestead, absolutely. Charlotte, Ryan has been all about Charlotte being the championship race. Why not? That's right down the road from everybody in the racing capital of that's just the epicenter, right?
Right.
So one thing, this is just my opinion as far as the playoffs go, switch your one race to the first round, make it a wild card weekend. The last four in the 16, if they don't get into the top 12, they're not in the top 12. Then do your 3 races, 3 races, 3 races, your rounds as normal.
I still think that they're going to have one championship race, unfortunately, the way from the information I was getting.
Right.
They want that one championship race, but I do like your idea of a one race playoff to get into the playoffs.
Right.
That wild card round.
Yeah, the last 4 teams that kind of sneak their way in, the stuff that fans kind of are grumpy about, the grumbles of the one winners, right?
Yeah. All the other sports do that. So I mean,
exactly.
Right.
So
a wild card round would be perfect.
If you don't get into the top 12 by the end of that wild card race, then you were not meant to be in the playoffs. Better luck next year.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and I mean, we just saw this in-season tournament play out in single elimination races.
yeah,
You know, and for $1 million, which congratulations, Ty Gibbs, by the way. We you know, didn't want to overlook that, but you know, he did beat Ty Dillon. You know, battle the ties. But yeah, but I mean, that single elimination format, it worked in this. I mean, why not try it in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And do a one race, maybe even another one race, and then you do a couple. But who knows? We'll see. You know, there's so many different ways that they could go. But I'm just looking forward to seeing some more racing this weekend, short track style in Iowa.
absolutely.
And yeah, and it's hopefully you know, there's no tornadoes this week. You know, like IndyCar had that, you know, but we'll see how it goes.
Well,
But
we're definitely in the middle of tornado season right now, but hopefully that isn't the case when all the haulers and all the fans show up this weekend at Iowa. We are looking forward to it. We're going to break it down for you next week. Everything is said and done at Iowa. Kevin, joining us. It's always a pleasure getting to talk racing with you, especially after you get to hang out at the racetrack. That's always special. Ryan, my partner in crime, always a pleasure, my friend. And to all of our fans, thank you